Hello, so we're going to learn how to do area of triangles on IXL. So first of all, I want to do a little bit of review for a tool that you'll definitely need, which is the formula sheet. You can go to you can access the formula sheet when you go onto your courses, go to Math D-Level, and if you go to Measurement and Geometry, in Geometry, it's going to be that first thing, the HiSET formula sheet. And then you can click on it and it will download. Perfect. So this IXL problem asks what is the area, and it gives us this triangle. So I'm going to do this on kind of a separate sheet, but I'll do the same problem. So let's see, we've got 8 feet and 5 feet. So the first thing that I would do when I'm doing an area problem is I'm going to write down the formula. So the formula for the area of the triangle is always the same, and you know what it is based on the HiSET formula sheet. It's right here. The area of a triangle area equals 1/2 times base times height. So I'm going to write that. And I'm going to use abbreviations. So instead of area, I'm going to say A equals 1/2, and then B for base and H for height. And when all of these letters are kind of smushed together, that implies multiplication. So I'm multiplying 1/2 times the base times the height. So on your triangle, the base is going to be this bottom line. Whatever the bottom line of your triangle is going to be the base. And then the height is from the distance from that bottom line to the highest point in the triangle. In this case, it's just that vertical line, which is 5 feet. So now I'm going to rewrite the formula, and I'm going to tell you one more time. Just kidding, I'll probably tell you multiple times. Always write the formula, because you're going to get used to using different formulas, and whenever you write the formula, you're just ensuring that you're not going to accidentally leave something out. So for each of these values that's unknown, that's represented by a letter, I'm going to fill in what values that I know. So the area, I don't know the area. That's what I'm solving for. So I'm going to leave that as A. Then I'm going to put 1/2, and then I'm going to do times the base, which is 8 feet, and then times the height, which is 5 feet. So now I'm going to do 1/2 times 8 times 5. And if you're doing that on your calculator, I want to remind you, you can use the fraction button on the calculator right there to do 1/2. You can also just use 0.5, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 0.5 times 8. Okay, so times 8 times 5, and the area that I get is 20, and then it's going to be feet squared. And the reason why it's feet squared is because you had feet times feet, and whenever you multiply something by itself, remember that's the same as that thing squared. So the area is 20 feet squared. Now let's try another one. In this problem, you'll notice that the base is 2 centimeters, and that's that bottom part here. And then the height is shaded, is kind of marked with this red dotted line. And really what that's showing us is that the distance between this bottom line and the highest point is 3 centimeters. So it's not this line or this line of the triangle, which the triangle is just the purple part, but the actual height is the distance between the base and the top. And this red line is just kind of extending the base out to that furthest point, and then this red line is showing us the height, which is 3 centimeters. So it's kind of like if you had a mountain. You know, if somebody asks you how high is a mountain, you're not going to measure the height in the slope of the mountain. You're going to measure the height from the base of the mountain, the foot of the mountain, to the peak. And that's actually going to be kind of like this invisible line cutting from the bottom to the highest point. And so it's doing the same thing whenever you see kind of that dotted line on a triangle whether it's kind of floating outside of the triangle or sometimes it's in the middle of the triangle, that's going to be the height. So just to show you what that might look like in another triangle, you might have a triangle that looks like that, and you'll have a dotted line just kind of right down the center, and that dotted line is referring to the height. Okay, let's do this problem with the 3 centimeters and 2 centimeters. So once again, always write your formula. We have area equals 1/2 base times height. So we have the area equals 2 times 3 times 1/2, and we can plug that into the calculator if you need to, times the area is going to be 3 centimeters squared. So let's go ahead and put that in, or 3 square centimeters if you're writing it out. Awesome. And here's one just like how, as I was saying, where the height is kind of demonstrated in that vertical line. And so the height is not this line or this line, but it's actually this kind of invisible line, which they're showing with kind of a red dotted line. So we're going to do A equals 1/2 times 6 times 8. And that's 24 on my calculator. I want us to do a problem like this one, where they give us the area but then leave out one of the other pieces of information, because in your area formula you are given 3 pieces of information: area, base, and height. And you can actually solve for any one of those 3 things as long as you have 2 of the other pieces of information. So in this one, we're given the area and we're given the height, but that base we're not given. They're putting in a variable y for the base. Remember, a variable is just an unknown number. It's an unknown value, and you can use any letter to represent an unknown value. So they're picking just a random letter, which is y. When we put it into the formula, we're going to use the variable b, and that's only because b in the area formula stands for base. So it doesn't actually matter which letter you use. Just want you to not be too confused when we go from y to b. The only reason why is because b stands for base. So let's go ahead, and we have area equals 1/2 base times height. Now we actually have the area, so I'm going to put in the number for area, which is 53.865 meters squared. Equals 1/2. The base is what we don't know, so I'm just going to leave that as b. And then we're going to do times. So to solve this, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to combine these two. So I'm going to multiply 8.1 times 0.5 for 1/2. I just prefer to use the decimal, and I get 4.05. So I'm going to rewrite this, except for now I have 4.05 times b, and now I want to get that value b by itself. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, since I have multiplication here, it's 4.05 times b. In order to get b by itself, I'm going to do the reverse, the inverse operation, and that's division. So here's the deal. When I divide 4.05 divided by 4.05, those two values basically cancel out. Well, what I mean is 4.05 over 4.05 is equal to 1. So that leaves 1b over here, and that leaves b kind of by itself. And so now I can solve the other part, 8.65 divided by 4.05. Doing that on the calculator, I get 13.3 meters. And so that's the value of B, is 13.3. Whenever you're doing that solving for an unknown variable, do the inverse operation. So if you're doing multiplication is what you have, then to reverse it, use division. And that's a rule you can always abide by. And the other rule would be addition is an inverse operation for subtraction. So if you're trying to undo addition, you do subtraction. If you're trying to undo subtraction, you do addition. Undo multiplication, do division. Undo division, do multiplication. So we're left with B equals 13.3 meters. Let's see if that's right. 13.3. Awesome. Cool. So now it's your turn. Make sure that you write out the formula. And good luck.